We're going to talk about Deakin's journey of becoming first foreign university opening campus in India.
Bringing in a foreign university campus to India is not an easy task. It's not easy to build the culture, which is going to be a unique culture of the India campus.
Correct.
It is about what you can bring to the Indian student, whether here or in Australia. I always say that there is a pre-NEP and there is a post-NEP. And it's very different. Pre-NEP, the partnerships were usually one-sided, where Australian universities could take students for credit into their degree programs through mobility. But Indian institutions would never give for credit for the mobility. So it was very restricted.
At Education Circuit, our aim is simple: to go beyond the headlines and talk about the real challenge, opportunities in the education sector.
I remember in 1994, when we opened the office, Australian education was not known in India.
So how do you select those partners, that whom should we work with and whom should we not work with?
There's no point in having a partnership where you're not adding value. So we always see this with the eye of what can Deakin do to bring value to this.
So to anyone who's planning to open an international campus in India, this episode will tell you what actually goes behind the show to open and operate the campus. Hello everyone and welcome to the Education Circuit by Meritto, a podcast series where we bring you leaders who are shaping the future of education. I am your host Siddharth, and today we have a very special guest, Ms. Ravneet Pawha, Vice President Global Engagement and CEO South Asia Deakin University. She has over 3 decades of experience in the international education. Today we're going to talk about the Deakin's journey of becoming first foreign university campus in India and what it matters and how it matters for the student, educators, and the education sector as a whole. So to anyone who's planning to open an international campus in India, this episode will tell you what actually goes behind the show to open and operate the campus. At Education Circuit, our aim is simple: to go beyond the headlines and talk about the real challenge, opportunities in the education sector. Our today's dialogue with Ms. Pawha is a perfect example for that. Ms. Pawha, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you very much.
So before we start, ma'am, so you have spent almost 32 years with Deakin. The first office was opened in early 90s and now the campus. So tell us about the stories, how this match happened back in 90s until now.
Thank you, Siddharth, and thank you for having me here. You're right. Deakin became the world's first university to set up an office in India in 1994. And in 2004, we became the world's first to set up a campus here. It's been a very interesting journey, and my journey spans those 30 odd plus years. I think I've seen a whole lot of transformation in the Indian landscape. I've also seen a whole lot of transformation in the Australian landscape. I remember in 1994, when we opened the office, Australian education was not known in India. As you would, read up now. I mean, you're young, you wouldn't remember those days, but when you read up now, you'll realize that in those days, it was only the US universities and UK universities that people would consider. Australia had just started opening, and Deakin at that time had only 2 Indian students. So we've come a long way. Today, we have a very large number of Indian students coming to us. We have very strong partnerships in India, especially the NEP has really helped in progressing those partnerships that we have in India. We have 4 hubs that we have established. And again, I think we were the world's first university to really deep dive into the NEP and establish these hubs where we offer joint degrees, dual degrees. We offer research engagement. We offer upskilling opportunities and a whole range of other things with our partners. And then in 2024, we opened the campus. Gift City campus in India for Deakin University was a landmark, of I guess the future, really establishing what the next phase of internationalization does look like.
Okay.
And I'm really happy that we were leading in that space.
Okay. So let's talk about the big picture here now. So if you'll see, every year many students from India goes abroad for higher ed, right? So where do you see Australia on this map, A? And point B, how Deakin has been, let's say, the backbone on bringing Australia on this map?
That's a good question. So I think, look, traditionally it has been the US, UK, and Australia,
Correct.
and then you've got New Zealand, Ireland, Singapore, and Germany, and so forth. Um, and these top three countries do vary.
Correct.
Like so between US and UK, depending on what the rules are, what the regulations are, it keeps changing. Australia is the new kid on the block. When I say new kid on the block, I mean that US and UK have had generations of Indians going to study there.
Okay.
For Australia, it's probably the second generation if you are lucky. Otherwise, sometimes it's the first generation of people that are actually going. So Australia is the new kid on the block. But having said that, I think Australian education is world class. And out of our sort of 40 plus universities, we have a large number of universities that are highly ranked at all levels. I mean, Deakin is in the top sort of ranking across the world over, and we are in the top 100 in some of the very key areas of study. Like sports management and sports science, we are in the top sort of world's top universities. So it just depends on where the students are looking for what. But Australia has really come out to be a very strong destination. More than 160,000 students, are studying from India in Australia.
Okay.
And this number has been strong. And as you know, that 2 Australian universities became the first universities to set up the campus. So the bilateral relationship between Australia and India with education at its base is really, really strong. And recently, Australia launched its economic roadmap, and education is a superhighway sector in that, which means that it is one of the key sectors where there is bilateral focus and there is bilateral engagement between the two countries. Deakin has played a very important role because we have been right through the journey. We started with research engagement with the top institutions. We started making India aware of what Australia can offer. We started making aware Australia of what India can offer. And I think we have been the bridge between Australia and India. There's a lot of confidence that people see when they see Deakin University doing well, that what we have been able to create here, what we have been able to build here is possible. And it's possible to do that in this ever dynamic, changing environment. So Deakin has really put in a lot of effort in supporting the relationship. When we met the Honorable Prime Minister of India, he was very, very happy to say that he's happy that it is an Australian university that has taken the lead in becoming the world's first in India.
Okay.
And also, some of the areas where we are really strong in how we can add to the knowledge economy of India, how we can add to the growing requirement of upskilling in India, and how we can be a very important part of the ecosystem and the fabric of changing India into this whole new phase, of 5 trillion economy and looking forward. India has very high ambitions, and Deakin's very, very happy and very proud to be part of that ambition.
So Deakin has played a very important role in creating this awareness between both the countries. So coming back to one more question, ma'am. So in '94, when you opened the office in India, you were majorly doing partnerships, right? And we had some amazing partnership with Indian companies and organizations out in India. What was the motivation behind setting up the full-fledged campus in India?
So I think it's the changing landscape. When we started out, like I said earlier, with research partnerships. So we had students from top Indian institutions coming to Deakin for internships and doing PhD. We had joint PhD programs. We also had PhD programs with industry. We were, again, world's first to really build in a whole network of companies and university coming together to produce job-ready PhD graduates. So that was the base of our engagement with India. And then we started into looking at what we can do through student mobility. Okay. We have been bringing a large number of Australian students to come to India over the last couple of years in exploring India and really understanding India and taking back with them when they go back to Australia. And then as India transformed into bringing in foreign partnerships, So, I always say that there is a pre-NEP and there is a post-NEP. And it's very different. Pre-NEP, the partnerships were usually one-sided, where Australian universities could take students for credit into their degree programs through mobility. But Indian institutions would never give for credit for the mobility. So it was very restrictive. It was a one-way flow. But I think post-NEP, it has changed the world of partnerships for the education sector. You can now have a truly meaningful, like-minded, equal partnership with an Indian institution. And that's what I think as a university we've really focused on, is to make sure we bring in our best to India, and we work with the best in India to give a really strong solution to the student. See, at the center of all of this, Siddharth, is a student.
Correct.
Right? We should never forget that. It is not about Deakin being in India or another university being in another country. It is about what you can bring to the Indian student, whether here or in Australia. And then we were also one of the first universities to really work closely on the EdTech platform. So we have programs on EdTech in whether it's an MBA or it's data science, and that's doing extremely well. So there are different segments of learners, different segments of people, and people consume knowledge differently. And people have different opportunities to do things how they may want to do.
Correct.
We've got all options open. Students, if they want to come to Australia and study in Australia, that absolutely is open. And we have a large number of students doing that. We have the hub partnerships and the institutional partnerships where students could spend some time here and some time in Australia and get dual degrees. That's absolutely open. We have joint research partnerships and centers of excellence, which again, students get dual PhDs with the top IITs in India and at Deakin University. And then now we have a campus. So it's really all opportunities given to students. And in due course of time, we do see not just Indian students studying in our campus in GIFT City. We do see students from the region, or our international students, or even our Australian students wanting to come and spend a semester or a trimester here. Yeah. So I think I would see this as more like a seamless approach to education.
Got it. So while we were opening the campus, you had some plan. Why GIFT City? Why Gujarat?
So in 22 September, the Finance Ministry gave out a ruling that GIFT City is now open to receive international universities. That was the very first time ever that India had opened up to international education in India. And when I visited GIFT City, I felt that it was an ecosystem which was bringing industry and academia closer. Of course, it was still a starting point. And when I look back and I say these 2-3 years have passed and how much change has happened, it is enormous. Correct. You know, if you look at the GIFT ecosystem within a small radius, you know, there are more than 650 organizations that are operating there. Of course, it'll take time. Of course, it'll have to build. It'll have to build the ecosystem, because having an office and having a campus are two very different things. But at that time, there is very clear opportunity. There was a very clear opportunity for Deakin to really be the world's first to do something substantial in building this space where companies can come together with universities like us for talent acquisition, developing the talent and co-delivery of some of the programs. So we saw it as a unique opportunity. And then, you know, it was, we are a self-regulated university. We are a government-funded university. And it was comforting to know that we could retain all of our accreditations. We could retain all of our systems to work through in India. And you know, what I feel is that it has been an amazing journey. We've learned so much over the last 2-3 years. You know, from ideation to implementation, we took 18 months. So
just 18 months.
Just 18 months.
Correct.
So, we moved very fast. And today we've had the first batch of our students who finished. Who are now getting into jobs and so
Correct.
forth. And we are introducing new programs as we move along.
So how many initial kids we had in the first cohort?
So we had 2 programs, and we were looking at about 25 in each program.
Got it. And major these kids were from all the tier 1 cities in India, and how was the mix?
A lot of them came from Gujarat and Maharashtra. And then slowly we also had students from Bangalore, from Delhi, and from other parts of the country. But I would say 60% were Gujarat and Maharashtra.
Understood. You mentioned about NEP, that because of NEP there's a lot of pointer shift, right? And for the larger audience, what are the key policy which actually helped Deakin to set up an office or let's say campus in India?
So I think the first policy, before I get to policy, let me talk about the Indian mindset, and let me talk about why it was easy for Deakin to make this decision. So for a long time, India has been very close to internationalization of education,
Correct.
if I may say so, right? But NEP made that change. And a lot of people were skeptical to say that, it may just be on paper, it may not get implemented.
Correct.
But as we've seen, from 2020 to now 2025, in the last 5 years, and we just recently celebrated 5 years of NEP, there has been a lot of change that has happened, not just with foreign universities, but also within our own landscape of Indian institutions. Even in the K-12 sector, there's been a whole lot of change in the curriculum, in how knowledge is consumed and how people are meant to bring up their aspirations through the knowledge and the skills that they have for the jobs of the future. So I think that India has really transformed itself over the last 5 years, and this transformation is an ongoing process.
Correct.
What the next 5 years will bring into internationalization of education will be very different from what the last 5 years has been. So, but we have to be on a robust platform. So we have to be resilient to be able to see this change, be part of this change, and be the change makers. And I think Deakin University has managed to do that well. Because I think we are so ingrained in the DNA with India that we understand how India works, what India needs, and how we can support the journey between our two nations.
Correct.
And I think that has been really important to Deakin.
Understood. So again, well, as a leader, while you're working with the policymakers, it's not always a hunky-dory ride. There are always some obstacle that comes in place. So what were some of those obstacles which you saw while setting up a campus?
So, we were the first. So we were pretty much making the rules as we were going, because, and that too, I think, like I said, 18 months from ideation to implementation. But I have to compliment the Indian government, IFSCA regulation and GIFT City, in how they actually made it possible for us to do so. I won't say easy, and I won't say it was difficult, and I won't say it was highly bureaucratic. I think that it was not that difficult that we couldn't cross the hurdles. We were able to do it because we became one team. Our team here in India, our team in Australia, GIFT City in Gujarat, the finance government, IFSCA, the regulator, all of us wanted to make this happen. All of us wanted to be able to do this at the right time. And everyone put in their bit. Challenges are always there. See, whenever you are leading something, you cannot be a leader without going through the obstacles.
Correct.
I mean, we all know that. Like I always say, there's no second thought to hard work.
Correct.
Right? So you've got to work hard. You've got to do it consistently. And that's what we did. We worked very, very hard. People may sit and look at us and say that, okay, Deakin University has had a good ride. But yes, we've had a good ride, but a lot of effort.
Correct.
A lot of hard work from the entire team, not just here in India, but also in Australia, has gone into making this to happen.
Correct. So I was reading one of your posts, ma'am, in which you mentioned internationalization is not just only about outward mobility; it's also about inward. So now, if you see in India, less than 1 lakh kids come to India for their higher studies. So where do you see this number will grow in next 5 years when we see many international universities are setting up their campuses in India?
Look, I think India has to be ready
Hmm.
to receive international students. I don't think that we in India have the ecosystem, which a lot of other countries do,
Mhm.
uh, to receive international students, make them, understand India. India is complex,
Correct.
right? We have complexities at all levels,
Mhm.
right? But that is the beauty of what people from other parts of the world want to learn.
Correct.
Like somebody said to me that when you are in India, you are in India. Like you cannot explain India to anyone because it is mystical. Like it gives you that ability to immerse yourself.
Correct.
And I think that the younger generation around the world, not just Australians, but around the world, needs to know that. And the power of India into the future, the power of the knowledge economy that India holds, the power of the youth that India holds, you cannot ignore India into the future.
Correct.
So I would say that it's a question of time.
Mhm.
It's a question of time, but India will have to play it right.
Correct.
There are a lot of things that people look at when they think about a destination to study overseas for a while as well. Safety, ability to immerse in cultures, cleanliness, just the understanding of how different cultures come together. How you can create an ecosystem which is not just based on any one person or any one culture, but bringing the world together. And the Honorable Prime Minister of India has been talking about this. We are a one family, but I think at the education level, we still have work to do to build that narrative, to build that piece across to the world. Businesses, as you know, there are a lot of businesses that have come to invest into India. There are a lot of opportunities that people see in India. You have the GCCs here, you have the knowledge economy here, you have the automobile manufacturing here, and it is all futuristic.
Correct.
But I think education with foreign universities coming into India, it will need an ecosystem of its own.
Got it. This one is for the student community. So as a student who is aspiring to go to Australia and then they also see an option in India, for them, what will you guide? An Indian campus or an international campus in Australia?
Look, world is an oasis. You have choices to make. I would say that if you are able to, want to, go to Australia, you have the option. There are different dynamics. I won't say one is better than the other because
Correct.
they are two very different opportunities and options that students have. But if a student wants to do that, then absolutely they should make the choice and exercise the choice. Here at the moment, there are limited courses, of course, and it's new, it's building, so if a student wants to be part of that journey, they should be, they should be willing to contribute as well.
Correct.
Because while you are making the journey happen, it's not something which is going to come to anyone on a silver platter.
Correct.
It doesn't even come on a silver platter anywhere, not even in Australia. So you've got to build on it. Each has its pros and cons, and I think it's the choice of the student.
And what are the mobility options? Let's say if they get admitted in India campus, do they have an option to go to Australia for some semesters?
Yeah. So at the moment, we have an immersion program that is, in fact, our first batch is going to go in November for the immersion program. And they will get a sense of, Australian culture, Australian feel, and they will study some bit there. They will explore opportunities there. At this point of time, it's an immersion program. And similarly, we will bring in an immersion program from Australia into India next year.
Got it. So coming back to partnerships, right? So when you only had an Indian offices, you had a lot many partnerships. While now you have a campus, how these partnerships are evolving with the government, or let's say with the private bodies in India?
Um, I think the partnerships are thriving.
Mhm.
All of our partners are extremely happy about us having the campus here. We have always collaborated and we'll continue to collaborate. The genesis of our work here is partnership. And I don't see in the future as well Deakin going away from that. Whether it is partnership with institutions, whether it is partnership with government,
Mm.
whether it is partnership with industry or other stakeholders in the sector, I think that the focus of us being here is about partnerships. Even in Gift City campus, we see this as a futuristic strategy to build stronger partnerships and stronger outcome focused approach to the Indian community here.
So, ma'am, in 2015, you had this joint research center with Terry Deakin Nanobiotechnology Center. So, what kind of similar research project you have in pipeline, and what has been done at that center in last 10 years?
So we started with the Terry Deakin Nanobio Center, where we came together with Terry, with their biotechnology expertise, and Deakin brought in its nanotechnology expertise, and we established this joint center of excellence at the Terry Gwalpahari place, and we set up a physical infrastructure together to really look at new technologies, in different sectors. We've been doing a lot of work, and we had a very strong pool of PhD students over the years, and still continuing to grow. We've done seed technology, seed coating. We've looked at food products, and we've looked at mostly a lot of stuff around smart agriculture and nanobio use in looking at solutions from that. From that one center, we have moved quite strongly into other areas of partnership with Terry. As you know, Terry is a large organization
Correct.
that also does a whole range of other engagement and other areas, sustainability, blue economy, and also looking at material science, also looking at energy transition. The whole space of hydrogen and looking at joint projects in all of these areas is something that we have worked with Terry over the years. In fact, I was on a panel just the other day with the Director General, Dr. Dhawan, and she said to me that the Deakin partnership is a shining light for her in this whole engagement with foreign universities. So we have been having a pool of PhD students that have contributed to various economy uplift, in these research and development areas jointly that we have got together. Since that, we also have established a joint academy with IIT Madras around energy and manufacturing. We have a joint academy with IIT Hyderabad, which is through our material science division of the university, our faculty of science, engineering, and built environment. We are coming up with some joint degrees as well at the master's level, which will give opportunity to students to go through the entire pipeline of master's into PhD approach.
And these would be from some international or domestic partners?
It's with IIT Hyderabad and Deakin and IIT Madras and Deakin. So students will spend some time here, some time there, and they will have dual degrees. But also it will create a pipeline of possible future research engagement that can be developed through this. We are bringing in industry as well. So there are quite a few organizations that have very strongly expressed interest to jointly work on projects with us. So that ecosystem of building research and innovation is at the heart of our work in India. And I see that growing. Again, in business, we are working with the Indian School of Business, where we are focusing on MarTech with them. How do you focus on that area? So fintech is in Gujarat, MarTech is in Hyderabad. We've recently just signed a letter of intent with Telangana government for setting up of a joint center in applied artificial intelligence, basically looking at solving societal issues and problems through use of technology and artificial intelligence, which jointly will be brought together through Deakin and the government. So there are, quite a few very solid examples of
Partnership.
work.
Correct.
That
So tell me, in terms of, there would be a lot of inbound interest from these partners, from these government, right? So how do you select those partners, that whom should we work with and whom should we not work with?
So it's a big process for us, because we don't want to just sign an MOU
Correct.
and keep it. We never do that. In fact, my rule is never sign an MOU upfront. First, figure out what you're going to do, start the work, and
Correct.
then see where you land up.
Mhm.
To bring it to the point of an MOU. So you will probably see that Deakin is very particular about its partners. We do a whole lot of due diligence. And one of the things that I think is very important to us is, how does it match to what we have strengths in? Like, what do we bring onto the table?
Correct.
There's no point in having a partnership where you're not adding value. So we always see this with the eye of, what can Deakin do to bring value to this?
Correct.
What can Deakin do to bring support to this? And how do we jointly build on this? All of our partnerships, you'll see, are very, very complementarity focused between the two partners. It is not about us bringing in the know-how. It is
Correct.
about jointly developing something, and in the bargain we learn a lot. Like our professors that have been coming to India, our students that have been coming to India, there's been a huge amount of learning. In fact, a lot of them say it's life changing.
Correct.
So for us, it's all about partnership. That would be the one word that has made Deakin in India successful.
So, ma'am, if I talk about, let's say, faculties, and they are the core for all the academies, right? All the academies. How do you recruit them? How do you retain them when there are so many competition in the market?
It's a challenge.
Yeah.
It's a challenge. I mean, you're talking about faculty in India, right?
Correct.
Yeah. So I think it's a challenge. At the end of the day, people do move for various reasons, but when you join Deakin, you join the Deakin family.
Correct.
And I think the space that Deakin occupies in India and also elsewhere in the world is a very strong and a very eminent position. And we do look after our people. So I think it's about how do you have that fit? And that's where I think it does take time to find the right people that will make the difference. So our work is all around, how do you have impact? Whether it is our research engagement, whether it is our education base. And we want to contribute to jobs of the future, which will be very different from what they are today.
Correct. And do you also have some international faculties who are teaching at Deakin campus?
Yeah, so we have 30% that come in from Australia, and 70% we've hired here.
Correct. And what are the key risks which you foresee in terms of running a campus in India?
I think expectation. I think the biggest risk is expectations at all levels. Expectation of a student, expectation of industry, expectation of parents, and expectation of the university, expectation of stakeholders.
Correct.
One has to make a very, I would say, modest start, because bringing in a foreign university campus to India is not an easy task. You may have a building ready in 18 months.
Correct.
But the DNA of the collaboration with the country has to be immersive.
Correct.
You've got to have a buy-in from the university and from India to really make it successful. Correct. And that takes time. It's not easy to build the culture, which is going to be a unique culture of the India campus.
Correct.
You cannot bring in the culture from Australia and say, this is how it's going to work. Or you cannot run it as an Indian campus, because there are so many others. So what is your distinction?
Correct.
So you have to create your own culture. And that culture of Gift City for us will take time.
Correct.
It'll have its challenges, which we have. It'll build a stronger base. And in fact, earlier I was talking to someone to say that, if you would ask me, would I do this again? My answer would be yes. Because the learning for our institution in this has been immense. And the ability to contribute, to India over the next decades is something that we are very proud of. And I think it's not easy, even financially. If people think that they can come into India and make a lot of money in India, through education. I think they are mistaken, because India is not easy. India is complex.
Correct.
But at the same time, if you do it properly and you do it correct, with the right intentions, you could be successful.
So when we talk about, let's say, culture, on one side we are in India, then there's an international university. So how do you maintain this culture fitment?
Yeah, which is, I'm saying, is extremely challenging, because the way we teach in Australia is very different
Correct.
from where Indian students are used to being taught here in India. So there is a fine balance that you have to build together without losing the core of your existence. You've got to try and build, a narrative and a culture here which is relevant to where you are, because physically you
Correct.
are in India.
Correct.
So you've got to build it together. You can't say, I'm going to do it the way I do it in Australia.
Correct.
Because it will not work. You can't say that I'm going to do it exactly the way India does it, because what's the point then? So you've got to really understand what the dynamics are.
Correct.
You've got to put the right things in the right box.
Mhm.
And that takes time, and that takes energy, and that takes effort, and that takes money.
Mhm.
So and I think for us, it's very important to get the right experience out.
Okay.
And any institution that starts has teething problems. It is right to say that if you don't have those problems, you're not doing it right, because you will have those problems. What you do to overcome those problems, how do you work through the system, I think is a question that makes you build a stronger future.
So while you're running the campus, you'll learn and you'll adopt.
Yeah, you have to. There is no one size fits all. There is no there's no recipe for success.
Correct.
And each university will have its own journey, because what Deakin brings on board is different from what another university will bring on board, what their experiences has been, what their DNA of the institution is. So it's a journey for everyone. But I guess there's a lot of learning
Correct.
amongst each other as well. And I encourage that, because I think that it's always good to bring like-minded people together. You learn a lot more
Correct.
than just being by yourself.
So, ma'am, while you were recruiting your first batch, I'm sure this question would be very, very common amongst all the parents about jobs and placements. So, how you managed your first batch placements? What kind of companies come in?
We are just going through that right now. So we have had our first batch finish their sort of teaching part of the engagement. They are now going to be sitting for interview. We've had a very large Australian company come in and take in quite a few students. We've had more than 20-25 organizations that have come and expressed their interest to recruit our students. And I think we have had students sit for interviews over the period of time. And it has been very interesting for both our students and for us. And I do feel hopeful that at the end of this whole placement cycle, our students will come out stronger, and the companies will be much happier, because the talent pool that we are bringing, of course, will have the ingredients which are different. And that is the whole essence of having the campus. And it has been, we've got the best of the companies coming and expressing interest to work with us. So I think, again, like I say, these things don't happen overnight. These things take time. But if you are willing to be on the journey with the university as being the inaugural batch, you get all the benefits that you could get through the first couple of years and building it into the future. I mean, if you pick up any institution in the world, it does take some time. But when you reflect back of being an inaugural batch or being in the first few batches, you get that sense of achievement, excitement, and contribution.
Correct. So there's always the debate, especially in Indian market, that students are not industry ready. So how Deakin is filling this gap, that they are making student industry ready?
So I think that we do a lot of hard work in making sure that the courses that we offer, which is why we are starting small. We are not starting, with large number of courses where
Correct.
we want to make sure they are relevant to what India wants.
Mhm.
And in Gift City, we've started with the two courses, analytics and cybersecurity. Our content is absolutely world class. It is relevant to what the industry wants. And then we put in a lot of extra effort here in India to make sure that the students have exposure to what the industry wants, whether
Mhm.
it is through master classes, or it is through guest lectures by industry, or it is through roundtables. It's all very experiential.
Correct.
The one thing that is different, I think, that students will also find it quite different is that it's experiential rather than rote learning. So
Got
the learning is a lot while you are studying,
Correct.
and the connection with industry starts quite early.
Understood. So coming to a question for a larger audience. So as a person who is not in India but aspire to open a campus in India now, what kind of advice you want to give to them?
Couple of things.
Yeah.
I think the first thing is ask yourself the question as to why do you want to do it?
Correct.
You know. The second is how do you want to do it? And the third is what do you want to do?
Mhm.
And make sure that you have your answers with your research, that satisfies the reasons why you want to open a campus in
Correct.
India. And always remember that India is not going to be a short term gain.
Mhm.
It will be a medium to long term gain.
Correct.
So if you are coming to India, come with the understanding that your time, effort, and money will be invested
Mhm.
over a period of time. The second thing I think is really important for people who are thinking about India is we should not assume that it's a 1.6 billion people
Correct.
country, so it'll be easy to get a few thousand students. It's very different on the ground. It's highly competitive.
Correct.
You've got to really have the right movers,
Mhm.
to make sure that you tick the boxes.
Correct.
So do your research. Partner with the right kind of people in country, because you cannot run campuses by not being in country.
Correct.
So partner with the right kind of people and have patience, because if you run out of patience in
Mhm.
India, my sense is that you're unlikely to be successful.
Got it. So again, coming to while setting up a campus, what kind of technology you have used before now, and what are the future technology which you're planning to adopt for Deakin in India?
When you say technology, you mean
Be it for, let's say, your recruitment to regarding the student life cycle, for their placement, for everything.
So we use our internal Deakin
Mhm.
South Asia platforms, and we also use the platform that the university overall uses. And we have been using those right through, our 30 years of existence. But now we are looking at the opportunities and the options available in the market as to how we can make this whole experience of students understanding, wanting to come to us, to the time when they actually come to us. How do we actually look at a more digital interface coming together for a
Correct.
better experience? So it's work in progress. I
Mhm.
mean, these things are not once done and dusted.
Correct.
They have to be work in progress, and they take their own time. We set up a lab in our campus, which is a computer lab for our cybersecurity, and that lab is exactly the same as we have in Australia.
Mhm.
And our students can link into our libraries in Australia.
Correct.
And they can actually look at case studies, and they can look at use cases that our students in Australia would have access to. Similarly, our business analytics
Mhm.
lab again offers same kind of experience to our students. So I think infrastructure is important,
Correct.
very important. I think faculty is very important. I think student experience is very important. I think student outcomes are very important. Teaching experience is very important. So there are a whole lot of things that make your presence in another country
Mhm.
even more important.
Correct.
And for Deakin, one of the things that we pride ourselves in the student experience, because we have had a 5-star rating for the last couple of years consistently. And also for graduate outcome, we are in the top band of international sort of Australian universities internationally. So we have a long way to go, obviously. But I think that we've got all the ducks aligned, and I think we are absolutely on the right path.
Correct. So let's say we're talking about Deakin 2024, 2 cohorts, 25 each. What will be Deakin 2030? What are your aspirations?
Look, steady state, I would see the campus having about 400 to 500 students. Couple of new courses. We are looking at applied artificial intelligence. We are looking at some business degrees. We are looking at a finance degree. So it'll be mostly in GIFT City. We will be looking at emerging technologies.
Correct.
So I think next couple of years, a few more courses, and a steady state of 400-500 students over the next couple of years.
Got it. And how important is ranking while you are in India versus while you're in Australia?
India is more ranking oriented, I think. Always has been. Once you understand what the rankings mean and how they're all done, you have a different perspective, of course. But I think that we rank quite well in all world rankings. But yeah, India is quite obsessed with the ranking system. Now with sort of rankings happening in India with domestic institutions also, it has picked up a lot of interest. I'm not against it, but I do think that when you're making choices, you have to consider a whole range of other things because rankings are fairly dynamic.
Correct. 1, 2, 3, come on! So we'll move to our last piece, which is a rapid fire round. You have 3 options to choose. Enroll, you are fully committed. Engage, you can explore. Or drop, you just dismiss it. So my first question, AI tutor in every classroom.
Engage.
You want to engage, you'll consider.
Yes.
Students studying in the metaverse.
Drop.
Because you have now campuses. A fully online MBA replacing traditional ones.
Yeah, that's possibly going on.
Oh, that's great. Campuses turning into co-working spaces.
Engage.
Engage, you can explore this as well. Hybrid admission, AI shortlisting plus human interviews.
Yeah, engage.
ChatGPT-like tools as officially study assistants.
I'm somewhere in between all the 3.
So you can choose all, yeah. Industry professional teaching 50% of the university courses.
Yeah, engage.
Correct. Classroom without exams, only projects.
Drop.
Universities building their own social media platforms.
Engage.
Got it. Any question you want to pick, that why did you engage, why did you enroll or drop? Anything inside?
Look, I think it's very interesting in the space we are in right now. So, I think that the future is going to be very different. When you talk to experts, whether it's AI or it's metaverse or whatever you talk about, technologies are changing all the time. The expectations of students are changing. The skill requirements are changing. So I think the way we will deliver education and skills, it'll be very different. I mean, today you don't necessarily need to have all the knowledge that you would have had traditionally because it is available at a click of a button. So I think the transformation in how universities and how institutions need to come out of the traditional ways of delivery will change. The expectation will be to have skills to do the jobs, not degrees to do the jobs. So the degrees, I won't say will get replaced, but they will have to be coming together with the right kind of skills. The use of AI, it's here to stay. It's not going anywhere, right? So we've got to engage with it. How do you use ChatGPT effectively, but not focus it on for assessment? Because I think the assessment piece for universities will become very, very important. So it will become different than where we have been used to in the last couple of years. So we are in sort of a transition phase here. And I think the future will be very different. So universities will need to prepare. So a lot of pieces I've said engage because it's good to explore. One should not close one's mind to things. which is why I thought engage is in a lot of your questions. I felt that me personally as a person, but even our university, as a world-class institution, we would engage with all of these ideas.
Got it. To all our viewers, thank you for watching the episode of the Education Circuit by Meritto. We will keep on bringing new chapters, new sessions, new insights. Till then, okay, tata, bye bye. This is Siddharth signing off.